So dear students, the last concept that one should be knowing, at least when it comes to the concept of trigonometry and all the pattern of questions, is the concept of AMGM inequality, which means arithmetic geometric mean inequality. So for any two given numbers A and B, though they may be same, they may be distant, any two real numbers, so this is applicable for real numbers. So A plus B by 2, which is what? Arithmetic mean, is always greater than equal to root AB. Root AB is what? Geometric mean. So this is the concept that arithmetic mean of any value or any two given real numbers is always either greater than or it is equal to the geometric mean, but never less than it. So that is the whole concept, based on which is a very familiar pattern of questions that are framed. So now we would be looking at what that pattern is. So before that, I reiterate that this concept that arithmetic mean is greater than geometric mean is applicable for real numbers. And as you know that all these trigonometric identities, their output or the values that they produce are real numbers. So this can be also applicable in the domain of trigonometry. So what does this actually mean? It means you take any two, trigonometric identities, let's say sine theta and tan theta. So what can we conclude by applying this theorem? We can conclude that if we were to take the arithmetic mean of these two terms, that means sine theta plus tan theta, so the arithmetic mean would be adding these two and dividing it by 2. So this will be always greater than their geometric mean, sine theta into tan theta. So this type of concept, these type of applications that you'll have to make based on this theorem that arithmetic mean is greater than geometric mean. So now let us see what kind of questions have been asked till date based on this concept. So the first question is, if an angle x lies between 0 and 90 degree, that means 0 and pi by 2, then sine theta plus cosec theta. Now you see the biggest indicator of when you are supposed to apply this concept is that when the question will talk about greater than, less than, greatest value, minimum value, then you be rest assured that this is a case where you have been asked to apply arithmetic mean, geometric mean inequality, because you see the options, all the options are such in nature, greater than, less than kind of. So now this is a perfect case where we can apply that. So let us see. So these are the two terms, sine x plus cosec x. So if I were to take its arithmetic mean, then I can say this is the arithmetic mean, and I can conclude this will always be greater than equal to their geometric mean. That means sine x into cosec x. Now we know that sine and cosec are reciprocals of each other. Okay, so this gets cancelled, this becomes 1. So this means this is greater than equal to 1, which in turn would mean that sine x plus cosec x is always greater than equal to 2. So this has to be the correct answer. Okay, so now let's move further. So suppose theta is an angle which lies between 0 and 90 degree, then for every theta, so we have this expression and the question is greater than or equal to. So this is again an indication, because the question involves terms such as greater than, less than, equal to. So that would mean that here is a case where we have been asked to apply this identity, or rather say inequality, that arithmetic mean is greater than geometric mean. So let's do that. So the two terms that we see before us are 4 sine square theta and 1. You have added these two terms only, na? So these two are separate, are to be treated as separate terms, and then we apply this inequality. So if we were to take its arithmetic mean, we would have said that we are adding both this and then dividing this by 2. So this becomes its arithmetic mean. So this has to be greater than equal to its geometric mean. Geometric mean is taking the square root of its product. So now 4 sine square theta into 1. So this actually comes out to be 2 sine theta. So what can you conclude? You can conclude that 4 sine square theta plus 1 when divided by 2 is always greater than equal to 2 sine theta. So I can say from here on that 4 sine square theta plus 1 is always greater than equal to 4 sine theta. So this will be the correct answer, always greater than 4 sine theta. So let's proceed. So consider the following statements. Cos theta plus sec theta can never be equal to 1.5. So let us apply. So cos theta plus sec theta when divided by 2 must be greater than equal to cos theta into sec theta. So as you know that cos theta and sec theta are reciprocal, so they will cancel out to make it 1. So it is very evident that cos theta plus sec theta is always greater than equal to 2. So if it is always greater than equal to 2, then it is actually correct to say that it can never be equal to 1.5. That means the value can never be less than 2. So if value cannot be less than 2, then how will it be equal to 1.5? So it is telling the correct thing to us. Yes, it can never be equal to 1.5. So now let's check the veracity of the second statement. So we have already verified that yes, first statement is correct. So it's time to check the veracity of the second statement. So let's do that. So now second statement, again the same concept, we'll have to apply the same arithmetico-geometric inequality. So sec square theta plus cosec square theta divided by 2, I am taking straight away this side, must be greater than equal to 2 times of their geometric mean. Sec square theta into cosec square theta. Okay, so from here I can say that this is always greater than equal to 2 sec theta cosec theta. So now we are stuck because you see that we cannot conclude much from here. So we'll have to change our strategy. So let's change our strategy. So we break this sec square and cosec square in terms of tan and cot square, and let's see then what happens. What can we say? So the question before us is that this sec square theta can be written as 1 plus cot square theta. Similarly, so this whole thing can be written as, so this is cosec square theta, and similarly sec square theta can be broken as 1 plus tan square theta. So now it is being told to us that 1 plus cot square theta plus 1 plus tan square theta can never be less than equal to 4. Or in other words, if you are comparing this with 4, so you can simply compare whether cot square theta plus tan square theta is less than 2 or not, because 1 plus 1 2 can cancel out. So let us see. So if you apply arithmetico-geometrico mean to these two terms, cot square theta and tan theta, then things will become pretty clear. As cot and tan theta are complementary, they'll cancel each other out. So cot square theta plus tan square theta are indeed greater than 2. So yes, this can never be less than 4. Understand, again I am repeating how this second statement has been proved. The second statement could not be proved by keeping these terms as it is, sec square theta and cosec square theta. So sec square theta I have rewritten as 1 plus tan square theta, and cosec square theta I have rewritten as 1 plus cot square theta. So now we were actually comparing 2 plus cot square theta plus tan square theta. We were comparing this with 4. So I removed this burden of 2. Now we can compare cot square theta plus tan square theta with 2 and see whether or not it is correct. So this came out to be correct, that yes, indeed this is greater than equal to 2. So that means the original statement is also correct. So now let's move to this one. So what is the minimum value? Now they are asking the minimum value. So I told you that whenever the question talks of terms such as greatest value, minimum value, and all that stuff, so it is an indication that it is time to apply this inequality. So now let's apply this inequality because we have to find the minimum value. So terms are 9 tan square theta and 4 cot square theta. So these are the terms. So you add these two terms, divide it by 2, and then you can claim that this will be definitely greater than the square root of their product. So 9 tan square theta into 4 cot square theta. Now this tan square theta and cot square theta are reciprocals of each other, hence they cancel each other out. So this is definitely greater than root of 36 because 9 4s are what, 36. So I can say this is definitely greater than root of 36, which comes out to be 6. Okay, so ultimately I can say that 9 tan square theta plus 4 cot square theta divided by 2 is definitely greater than 6, which is indicative of the fact that 9 tan square theta plus 4 cot square theta is definitely greater than 12. That means the minimum value, it can never be less than 12. So if it is never less than 12, the minimum value is 12 itself, because it cannot be less than 12, but it can be equal to 12. Okay, so the minimum value possible is 12 itself. So now let's move to the next one. If tan square x plus 1 by tan square is equal to 2. You see, in conditions such as this, whenever it is given that a plus 1 by a is equal to 2, you have to assume that a is equal to 1. There is no other way out, because the minimum value of a plus 1 by a is, 2. It is the minimum value, and the minimum value itself is given as equal to. So this occurs only when both the terms are equal. So it occurs only when a is equal to 1 by a. So here it is very evident that tan square x is equal to 1 by tan square x is equal to 1. So when can that happen? When can tan square x be equal to 1? When tan x is equal to 1, which means we are talking about tan 45 degree. So the value of x will be 45 degrees. So the concept that I just told you, I'll reiterate. Whenever it is being told to you that a plus 1 by a is equal to 2, then you have to assume that both are equal to 1. That means a is equal to 1, and hence 1 by a is also equal to 1. Only then can the answer be 2. Okay, so this is a very important observation. So now we have seen all the pattern of questions, okay, all the 8 to 9 pattern of questions and all the concepts that you should have known to attempt these questions. Now we will see some random questions. I have put before you all the patterns, and we have solved like 3 to 4 to 5 questions based on it, all the patterns. Now I will not tell you what the pattern is, because you already knew beforehand that which pattern was being talked about. Now we will simply solve a few random questions, and let us see that on the spur of the moment, are we able to identify the exact pattern that needs to be applied, or the exact concept that needs to be applied there. So let's do that. Okay, so let's proceed. Now let's look at the question. Now I won't be telling you that which pattern it is, we'll have to identify it quickly. So let's see, let's move to first question. A pole stands vertically inside a triangular park ABC. If the angle of elevation of the top of the pole from each corner of the park is same, then in the triangle ABC the foot of the pole is at which point. Okay. So now let us see what is meant by this question. So let's first draw a rectangular park. So suppose we have a rectangular park. So let me draw it first. Okay. So if there is a tower, so it is being told to us that this point has the same angle of elevation. So if this is theta, so from here as well this would be theta. So if it is given to us that the angle of elevation is same and the tower is same, so basically let's suppose the corners are A, B, C and O, and the tip of the tower is, let's suppose, T. So OT is the same for all the three observers. The height is same, the angle of observation is also same, that means the tan of theta is also same. So basically it means that the distance between the bases of the tower and the observers are same. That means AO must be equal to OB must be equal to OC. That means O must be such a point which is equidistant from all the three corners. So such a point is known as circumcenter. So such a point, as you are well aware, is nothing but the circumcenter of the triangle. So it is the property of circumcenter that it is equidistant. So the answer would be circumcenter, because circumcenter is such a point. If this is circumcenter, then the property of the circumcenter is such that it is equidistant from all the three corners. Okay, so now let's move to the next question. So you can read this, you can take a pause, you can read this. This is a very good question. Okay, let's see what this question is about. Two observers are stationed due north of a tower of height x meters at a distance of y meter from each other. The angles of elevation of the tower observed by them are 30 degree and 45 degree respectively. Then x by y is equal to which of these? So let us see, let's move to a fresh slide so that we can draw the diagram to understand this in a better way. So a tower is being mentioned, a tower having height x. So let's draw a tower first. So a tower which has the height x, and then we are told that two different observers are there. So observer 1 and observer 2. So two different observers are there. The angle of these observers are 45 degrees and 30 degrees. So obviously this will be the greater angle, 45. This will be smaller one. Okay. So let me name these points A, B, C, D. So if you apply the tan formula, so I can say that tan 45 degrees is equal to x upon BC. So we know very well that tan 45 degrees is equal to 1. So from here I can say that BC is equal to x by 1. So comes out to be x. Similarly, if you apply tan formula to 30 degrees, so I can say that tan 30 degree is equal to x upon BD. Okay, because this is also, you know, right angle triangle. In right angle triangle ABD, I am applying the tan formula. So I am saying that tan 30 degrees is equal to x upon BD. We know that tan 30 degrees is equal to 1 by root 3. So we can say that 1 by root 3 is equal to x upon BD. So from here on we can see that BD is equal to x root 3. So we have two distances. From here to here it is x root 3, this entire distance, whereas simply from here to here it is only x. Now it is also told that these two observers are at a gap of y. That means this gap CD is y. So CD can be written as x root 3 minus x. So this is given to us as y. So if you take x common, you can say that root 3 minus 1 is equal to y. So from here on you can say that x by y is equal to 1 upon root 3 minus 1. So the answer is x upon y is equal to 1 by root 3 minus 1. So let's have a look at the options. Okay, see, there is no option which matches what we have just solved. So we have solved that x by y is equal to 1 by root 3 minus 1, but there is no such option. So what do? We transform this answer. Because we have solved it correctly, we have to simply transform. We have to simply rationalize. So how can we rationalize? So right now our answer is coming out to be 1 upon root 3 minus 1. To rationalize, you multiply it by root 3 plus 1 in both numerator and denominator, and let's see what happens. So the denominator takes the form of a minus b into a plus b. So which will make it like a square minus b square. So a square root 3 whole square is 3. So the ultimate answer is root 3 plus 1 by 2. So let's see if that is an option. So root 3 plus 1 by 2 is an option indeed. So this is the correct answer. So now let's move to the next one. So if x is equal to a cos theta and y is equal to b cos theta, then we are being asked to find the value of this. So what are we actually being asked to find? A x to the power 1. That means we are being asked to find a by x minus b by y into a by x plus b by y. So let's find out what is a by x, what is b by y. So x is equal to a cos theta. So from here I can say that a by x is equal to 1 by cos theta, can be written as sec theta. Similarly, b by y. So it is given to us that y is equal to b cos theta. So from here I can say that b by y is again equal to 1 by cos theta, which is again sec theta. So a by x is equal to b by y is equal to sec theta. Now let's come back to what we are being asked to solve. We are being asked to solve this, but you see a by x is equal to b by x. Therefore a by x minus b by y is equal to 0. So this term is 0. So 0 into something, if you multiply 0 with something, the answer has to be 0. So why to proceed further? Answer is 0. Now let's have a look at this one. So cos theta divided by 1 minus sin theta is equal to. So you see, whenever you see terms such as this 1 minus sin theta, 1 plus sin theta kind of, so you get stuck because there is no standard formula you have learned so far to solve this. So the option that we have before us to rationalize. So let's rationalize. Let's do something that we get rid of, denominator. We get a single term kind of. So cos theta divided by 1 minus sin theta. So I rationalize it immediately. How do I do that? By multiplying it by 1 plus sin theta, both numerator and denominator. So now let's see what it has done to the expression, original expression. So now you are very clear that what you have got in denominator is the actual meaning or the actual benefit of rationalizing, because it takes the form of a minus b into a plus b, which can then be written as a square minus b square. So if you write this further, this comes out to be cos theta into 1 plus sin theta. Now what happens to the denominator? So the denominator is in the form a minus b, that means 1 minus sin theta, into a plus b, that is 1 plus sin theta. So this becomes a square, yani 1 square minus sin square theta. So this can be written as, I am writing it here, cos theta into 1 plus sin theta whole divided by, now 1 minus sin square theta is equal to how much? Cos square theta. Okay, so 1 cos theta gets cancelled. So we are ultimately left with 1 plus sin theta whole divided by cos theta. So this option seems to be correct. So this is the correct option. So now let's move to another one. Okay, this is a very, very good question. So I would insist that you pause the video, try your hand at it first, and only if you are not able to solve it, then should you resort to looking at the solution. First give it a try. Take 10 minutes, take 20 minutes. Okay, so no problem, you can pause a video. You have all the time in the world, but I would insist that you try this one on your own first. So I hope you must have tried this out. So now let's try to solve this together. If only you could observe a few things, so it would become damn easy for you. So you can see a few numbers here like x plus 40, 50 minus x. If you observe carefully, if you add these two numbers, you will get 90. So these two are actually indicative of complementary angles. Same is the case with these two terms. That means x plus 20 and 70 minus x. So these are given as gifts to you. These are meant for observant eyes. You have to observe that what you are seeing before you are certain pairs of complementary angles. So what is meant by complementary angles? If the sum of two angles is equal to 90 degrees, so they are said to be complementary angles. So you can see before your eyes that at least two pairs of complementary angles are hidden over here. So you know what is to be done when you get sets of complementary pairs. You take their complementary trigonometric ratios. So let's first arrange the terms accordingly. Let's bring all the complementary angles together. So 10x plus 45 degree into 10 50 minus x degrees, 10 x plus 20 into 10 70 minus x into 10 3x is given to us. It is already given to us as that the value is equal to 1. Now you see these two angles are complementary. So 10x plus 40, you leave it as it is. This will become cot, take complementary of 50 minus x. Complementary of 50 minus x is x plus 40 only. So this becomes x plus 40. Similarly, 10 x plus 20. So if you take complementary, this becomes cot first of all. So this becomes cot of complementary of 70 minus x is again x plus 20. So why do we do this much effort? So that terms begin to cancel each other out. So now you see 10 and cot are reciprocals of each other. So these two multiply to give value 1. So these two are also reciprocals, multiply and give value of 1. So what is being told to us is that 1 into 1 into 10 3x is also equal to 1. So this means that 10 3x is equal to 10 of what? 10 of which angle is 1? 45. So from here it is very evident that x is equal to 15 degrees. Okay. So now let's see a few more examples.